You're welcome. We are talking about magazine production, and today we'll be looking at the classification of magazines. And it's interesting to note that magazines are classified according to different parameters. So we have magazines that can be classified in several ways depending on their content, depending on their audience, depending on the frequency of production, depending on ownership, and depending on function. So we're looking at some magazines. Number one, classification by content. Classification by content. So we have here one of the most common ways of classifying magazines according to the subject matter that they cover. So on this category we have the news magazines, and so the news magazines, they focus on current affairs, they focus on politics, they focus on social issues. And example is the Times magazines, the Newsweek, the Economist magazines. So when you talk about magazines that are classified according to content, first we are looking at the news magazine, and then the second is the entertainment magazines. And these are magazines that are focused on celebrities, focus on films, focus on fashion, focus on lifestyle. Yeah, so this is entertainment magazines. Then we also talk about the business and the finance magazines. Business and finance magazines. And this deals with economics, deals with different business trends, deals with entrepreneurship, deals with financial markets. Example is the Forbes magazine, the Business Week, the Banker magazines, the Financial Times. So all these magazines can be classified as um, as magazines based on content. Then also looking at the sports magazines. We have the sports magazines. Yeah, this covers sport news, covers issues about athletes, about events, and the next also is the fashion and the lifestyle magazine. They are all part of classification by content. So the content of the fashion and lifestyle magazine focuses on beauty, focuses on fashion and personal lifestyle. Okay, so we have magazines like the Vogue, Elle, the Cosmopolitan, and we used to have of those magazines like the Encomium, and some of them in Nigeria are no longer existing. Okay, but yeah, we have a lot of fashion magazines that are still available. Then we have magazines like the science and technology magazines. Yeah, that is a classification that is based on the content, and in the content here you have discoveries that are published, you have research findings, you have innovations in science and technology. So all of them are right in there in science and technology magazines. Then you have the educational and the academic magazines. Yeah, and this contains scholarly articles, contains research findings that are useful, for research institutions and individuals. And then you have agricultural magazines, and the focus is on farming, rural development, on agricultural technology, and the examples is the Farmers Weekly magazines, deals with issues about farming, and even see how to procure, improve seedlings, how to, even information about weather, they're all there in that agricultural magazines. Then we have the children's magazine, and these ones are designed for children. And right in there, it contains things that attract the child, you know, comics, stories, educational content, and you have some of them there. in children's magazines. So remember, the first classification is a classification that is based on content, on the content. The second classification of magazine is magazines that are classified, by target audience, by those to whom the magazines are designed to um, target, to attract the readership of the magazine. So you have general interest magazines, and these are magazines that target the general public. It has varied topics like issue of culture, lifestyle, entertainment. All these are packaged together. It's called the general interest magazines. Anybody can pick it up and read. Yeah, it's classified by target audience. Then we have the specialized magazines. Specialized magazine. And this one actually, it targets a specific group or profession. For instance, the doctors, the nurses, the midwives, the teachers, the lecturers, the engineers, the scholars. So these are specialized magazines, and it is part of the magazines that are classified according to its target audience. Then you also have the trade magazines. Trade magazines. These magazines actually serves people, in particular industries, okay, or occupation. It provides business updates and technical information, to persons in a particular trade. So it's called the trade magazines. Then you have the consumer magazines, and these are magazines that target general consumers. And it often focuses on lifestyle, health and health products, on leisure. So you have magazines that has to do with housekeeping or mental health. All of them are consumer magazines. Then you have the third one actually is the magazines that are classified by frequency of publication. By frequency of publication. So under this category, you have the weekly magazines. You have magazines that are published like once in a week. Okay, and the example is the week. You have the Newswatch, the Tell magazines. These ones they are published just once in a week. And then you have the monthly magazines. These are magazines that are classified according to um, frequency of publications. So you have the magazines that are fortnightly produced, fortnightly magazines. They are published every 2 weeks. Then you have the monthly magazines, published once a month. Yeah. And then you have quarterly magazines, which are published every 3 months. And sometimes they are academic or research-based magazines. For instance, the journals of communication. Yeah, journal of communication, quarterly magazines. Then you have the fourth classification of magazine is the classification by ownership or by sponsorship. By ownership or sponsorship. Under the ownership or sponsorship, you have the commercial magazines. And these are privately owned, profit-oriented publications that are supported by sales and advertisement. They don't play with advertisement. Yes, sales, they do everything to get it sold so that they can have their profit, because the intention of its creation was for profit maximization. So you have the commercial magazine, you have the institutional or organizational magazines. There are magazines that are called institutional or organizational magazines. They are published by associations, they are published by governments, agencies, they are published by NGOs, just to promote their objectives. Okay, so you have like World Health Organization, they have the bulletin there, and then you have the UNESCO couriers, different states of the federation, they have their magazines. Yes, Delta State too, they have its own. And this is to be able to show the people, what they are doing. Yeah, institutional or organizational magazine. Yeah, the CBN have something like that. Different ministries and parastatals, and including even privately owned businesses. So you have the next one is classification by function or purpose. By function or purpose. That's the fifth one now. So under the classification by function or purpose, you have the informative magazines. Informative magazines. It provides factual, educational, and research-based information. Yeah, informative magazines. It provides factual, educational, and research-based information. Then you also have the persuasive stroke the advocacy magazines, and their work is to promote specific ideology, religious belief, or political opinions. Yeah, like magazines like Christian Science Monitors, magazines like Awake, published by the Jehovah's Witnesses. Even a lot of churches have their magazines. It's to promote their ideologies, promote what they believe, what they teach. And then also in politics, yes, you have several, even the PDP, some places have their own magazine, that talks about its agenda, and what they are offering to the electorate, and different APC, other parties like that. So political opinions, you know, published by individuals, to galvanize the opinions of the people. Yeah. Then you also have the entertainment magazine. Remember, we're talking about magazines that are classified according to function or purpose. So we've talked about informative magazines. Then there is the persuasive and advocacy magazines. Then there is the entertainment magazine. Yeah, their aim is to amuse, their aim is to relax, their aim is to entertain the readers. So the content, are intentionally designed to entertain their readers. Then under that, you have the informative, the persuasive, the entertainment. Talking about magazines that are classified by function or by purpose. Then the last classification uh, template here has to do with the classification by format, by format. So you can have the traditional hard copy production or publication, which is called the print magazines. The print magazines, or you can have the digital or online magazines. Same by format, you can have, the magazines that are, some might be smaller in size and some might be bigger in size. They are all according to format. So remember, we're talking about the classification of magazines, and then we have looked at the different classification of magazines by their content, by their audience, by frequency of publications, by ownership, yeah, by function, yes. So all these are different ways of classifying the magazine. I hope you followed, and I hope you've learned something here. Next time, we're still going to be talking about the magazine production. You're welcome.